This idea that the network doesn't know what the applications are has led to something called the end-to-end principle. What that says is that the only things that know what's going on in the network are the things outside of the network at the edges of the net. So it's only the computers that are actually running the applications that know how to interpret the bits inside the packets. That has actually been a very important characteristic of the Internet architecture because it has led to an enormous amount of innovation. You didn't have to ask permission of an ISP to try out a new application and a new business idea. So the founders of Google, who were two impoverished graduate students, not anymore, got to bring up their service without getting permission from any ISP. So did Yahoo, so did Amazon, so did eBay, so did Skype, and I'm sure you can name a long list of others. That's a really important principle to try to maintain, to resist regulatory pressure or even pressure from the telecommunications world, which is accustomed to having very direct and in some cases absolute control over the last mile of access to communications facilities. The same end-to-end principle is important to users because it basically says as long as you have the right software in your laptop or desktop, you can theoretically use any application anywhere in the Internet without anyone interfering with you. Radio has become a really important part of the network because it offers mobility. And mobility has lots and lots of implications for what people want to do with the net, how they use it, and what kind of information that they're interested in. If you're looking for very high capacity, of course, cable modems or DSL or fiber are very important to supply increasing amounts of speed at the edge and the core of the network. As the network continues to expand, in fact, we're discovering that the 1978 design, which is what you're using today, is literally going to run out of unique terminations. The design uses a 32-bit address space, which multiplies out to 4.3 billion unique terminations. I made that decision in 1977, and even though it's looking back, it was a stupid thing to do. At the time, it seemed perfectly reasonable because this was supposed to be an experiment to see whether or not packet switching made any sense and whether or not you could find a rule that would allow arbitrarily large numbers of nets to be bound together in a way that looked essentially transparent. I thought that 4.3 billion terminations would be more than enough for a credible experiment. Of course, the problem is the experiment never ended. And eventually it turned into a commercial activity, which you see today as a global infrastructure. So now we know we're going to run out. The estimates are most recently that we will probably see the last allocations from ICANN, the Internet Corporation from Assigned Names and Numbers, could come as early as 2010. And the final allocations coming from the resource registries could come as soon as 2012. This puts a great deal of motivation to move over to a new design, which was called IP version 6, which was defined and standardized in the 1990s, but no one has made much motion towards it because we haven't yet run out of IP version 4 addresses. When we do, it's a potential mad scramble. I'd like to avoid that and encourage everyone to move over sooner. IPv6 has 128 bits of address space. If you multiply that out, it's 3.4 times 10 to the 38th addresses, or 340 trillion addresses. I used to tell everybody that meant every electron in the universe could have its own web page. Until I got an email from a guy at Caltech. Dear Dr. Cerf, you jerk, there's 10 to the 88th electrons in the universe and you're off by 50 orders of magnitude. So I don't say that anymore. However, it is enough address space to last until after I'm dead, and then it's someone else's problem. So I am a big proponent of moving ahead. The Chinese are way, way ahead. They are committed, and they are well ahead of plan to get a nationwide IP version 6 system up and running in time for the Olympics. I was in Beijing just a month ago. They have a large-scale academic network running across the country, linking all the major universities, running IPv6 at 10 gigabits a second. So they're going to be ready. Other administrations have made commitments of a similar nature. The problem right now is that we have software in the laptops, we have software in the servers, but we don't, and we have software in the routers. The problem is that the ISPs haven't turned much of this on yet because the customers are not making any demands. So my suggestion, if you don't want to be caught in a great scramble, is to get busy, bring up IPv6, demand that you have access to it from the internet service providers, and run both stacks. Because we'll have to run both of them for a long period of time to make sure we take care of both the groups of people, the ones who have transferred over and the ones who haven't. Finally, let me say something about broadband. It's becoming increasingly of interest to everyone, whether you're in the business sector or in the consumer sector. The problem with broadband offerings today is that they're not symmetric. They typically are designed to give you larger amounts of capacity inbound from the network and not so much outbound into the net. That presumes that your interest is in downloading things off the network, and that may have been true for a while. But now that people have the ability to generate digital information from their digital cameras, from their blogs, from their digital video systems, and all other sorts of things, now people are interested in being able to upload digital information as well as download it. We can see it at Google with Google Video and YouTube and things like that, where people are looking for ways to upload video. And so I would suggest that the service offerings today, which are asymmetric, are at an intermediate stopping point, and the demand will increase for having symmetry in that service. I'm sure every one of you in this room has your own list of interesting social and economic effects on the network, but here are some of mine. One of them, which you'll find, by the way, in the KPMG report as well, I was interested to see, is that the consumers of information have become the producers of information on the network. This is partly a side effect of the ease with which people can generate digital video and audio, but it's also the ease with which they can produce text, web pages, contribute to the Wikipedia. We're just seeing this enormous transformation where the group of people that have been seen only as consumers of information have now become generators of it as well. That has economic importance, as we'll see. It also contributes to a kind of democratic access to information. It means anyone who wants to share information and anyone who wants to receive information is free to do so in large measure on the network. In fact, the Internet Society has a motto that says Internet is for everyone. Of course, obviously we haven't got there yet because only 16% of the world's population currently has access, but certainly the intention is there that everyone someday will be able to share information on the net. There's no question in my mind that having this globe-girdling capability is going to allow for some wide range of new educational opportunities. The traditional 4-year education or 2-year education is being augmented now by a variety of online educational tools, which means that we can keep going to school even when we've graduated from school. And at the rate at which technology is changing, going to school is going to turn out to be very important. Businesses will be interested in people earning certificates and other evidence of their ability to use new technologies and methods as time goes on.